Thank you, Anya. There's no specific threat that I'd like to refer to, but I think it is my duty. As you say, I am in effect, as Ceann Corlett, the shop steward for the members. But I also said in my speech that this is an issue that affects the wider public. I still have a very busy constituency office and we deal with this issue day in, day out. But since the months in being elected Ceann Corlett, it has come to my attention the vast increase and the veracity and the level of threats to members. And it's a phenomenon now that I don't believe we can ignore any longer.
Taoiseach Simon Harris wrote to you about it, and of course his situation has been very much in the news. There's pretty much constant harassment, but the threats to his family as well.
Well, he wrote to me after my statement in which, as one of the leaders, and my proposal, as you'll recall, was to bring the leaders to the table and to hopefully depoliticise or neutralise this as a political issue. I think this is something that we need to advance legislatively in order to safeguard the public as a whole.
So you want new laws, and you say you're worried about unsavoury online discourse. Doesn't that mean we're going to have to get back to grappling the hot potato of free speech versus hate speech?
Not at all. This has nothing to do with free speech. I think the reality is that what's happening is that we have a vast increase in the number of fake profiles who are able to promulgate across all online platforms. They can literally promote false narratives. And because we can't identify them, we can't do anything about it. And that's the general public. I mean, we have children.
The Gardaí and the social media companies will fight tooth and nail. That is their platform, that is their method of business, and they're not going to change it just because you want to.
Well, I think that can't be the case. If you look at RTE here, you're heavily regulated. You have to follow rules that ensure, as a broadcaster, you're fair.
As publishers, not platforms, you'd have to change the definition of social media companies.
And that may be the case, but under the Constitution, Article 43(2), we have an obligation in which to vindicate the rights of every person and their right to a good name, and whereby that is affected, we must have legislation in place that deals with that as a remedy. And I think one way or the other, looking across a broad spectrum of the public, we have children in schools who are being affected by online bullying to the extent of where they're suicidal. We only have to look across the water on either side of this country to see where this can lead to if we don't deal with it. We dealt with a similar scenario, not a similar scenario, but what we would have dealt with collectively back in 1996 when we brought in the Proceeds of Crime Act. And Nora Owen, to her credit, brought forward legislation that meant you could no longer open a bank account without providing identification.
So the Gardaí will only be able to bring successful prosecutions if they can identify who is spreading hate online behind a pseudonym, and if they can get that from the social media companies. What you want to see Dáil Éireann do is legislate to give the Gardaí those powers.
No, what I want to see is that we put a proposal in place where the online platforms, if they are negative in giving that information, or they don't have a system in place where, first of all, they have the identity provided if you're setting up a platform, and number two, if they don't hand over that to the investigation, that they then themselves become responsible. I don't think we can be afraid of this. When we instituted that legislation back in 1996, the world followed suit and they took on board that actual proposal.
So you could say Ireland could set the lead despite the opposition that may come from the United States, for instance?
Well, we're a small country. I think we can legislate for this. Absolutely. We can't be afraid of it. It's affecting too many people. We're in the early days of social media. We need to move forward with this to safeguard people as well as our democracy.
You say the Dáil must remain a secure environment. You look at Leinster House on Wednesday and the absolutely massive security operation that was put in place for the return of the Dáil. That's become a familiar sight at this stage. You've politicians inside in Leinster House. They used to go for a walk around town at lunchtime or whatever. They're afraid to do that now. So in many ways, Leinster House is already... The city isn't a safe environment for those TDs anymore, is it? We've lost already.
Well, I wouldn't say we've lost already. I think it's time certainly to take the bull by the horns, but we have to be cognizant when we don't know where the threats are coming from, and it is the fake profile that we need to tackle. everybody that has free speech, no matter what they say, if you can see them and you can hear them and you know who they are, they're accountable. Fake profiles are not. And I think that's what makes this, I suppose if you want to walk down the street and you don't know who's attacking you, it's very, very difficult. And that's something that is, as I said, because of fake profiles, it's across a broad spectrum of public life as well as the public in general. Schools, all workplaces, and we have to secure a safe environment for the Oireachtas members. But it is not just about Oireachtas members. This is about the broader public and our obligations under the Constitution.
We'll be watching what develops in this area. It's an issue we've touched on several times on this programme. And I know you'll also be talking to us at some point in the future about your experience, the First Woman Can. That's an historic appointment. It was also a controversial appointment, the confidence vote, unprecedented. Not to get into all of that now in great detail, but to ask you this question. Since that confidence vote, are you happy you've since won the confidence of the opposition in this Dáil?
Well, I've certainly moved on, and we've all moved on. There's a body of work to do, and my job is to ensure that the House operates so that we can manage democracy, essentially. I would say that bringing forward this proposal and inviting all leaders to come with consensus and to neutralise this politically is certainly something that we will work together on, and that's what this is about, ensuring that we all have a safe working environment and that we can work together for the good of the public.
Okay, we'll talk about all of that more fully in the future.